Let me start with Diablo 4 real quick because the Diablo 4 stuff is not going to take long. It's only going to take a minute here to talk about Diablo 4. So far, after watching a lot of Diablo 4 stuff, I didn't get to play Diablo 4, obviously. I obviously am playing a Demon Hunter. For the people that are new, I'm playing Demon Hunter. Like, I'm so fully Demon Hunter in Diablo, specifically multi-shot Demon Hunter. So there's a lot of you out there that will play multiple characters and things like that, or you will, kind of play the best character you can play that would go to the top tier. I am most interested in playing what I like the most and driving that as far as it can go. So my goal in Diablo is to play what I like and to drive it as far as it can go. And, once in a while, veer away from that. If I get really bored or I need a break or something like that, I will veer away, from Demon Hunter and do some other things. I've got a sort of okay-ish Necromancer, when I first started Diablo 3 back in 2012, I'd started as Barb, and then I changed over to Demon Hunter. But that being said, let me get to Diablo 4. So my point is, with Diablo 4, is I think from the feedback that I've gotten, and I've listened to a lot of different people, and most people I've talked to that don't even really have podcasts, they just casually stream Diablo 3, and I've been making videos on Diablo 3 since 2012, since it launched, but I never made regular videos. My other channels are for that. I have other channels with 68,000 subscribers where I talk about other things. The gaming stuff is more of like my hobby behind my hobby of YouTube. So this is a much smaller channel. This is where I do this separately. But I haven't been a prominent voice of in Diablo, like of the YouTube realm, that sort of thing, because I never wanted to be. But now I'm ready to come out and start talking a lot about Diablo. But yeah, so with Diablo 4, I'm hearing a lot from the classes that people enjoy the classes that they've played in Diablo 4. But the biggest thing that, people really enjoyed was the Druid. That's the feedback that I keep hearing from just about everybody, is that, man, Druid is the funnest thing to play because it's new and it's exciting. And I am totally in agreement with that. I can understand that. And to me, it's sort of like, man, I've sort of changed my whole tune on this whole thing. Because originally I wanted, I almost hope that all the characters from D3 are in D4, which is the same feeling I had going into D3 from D2. I can remember being so frustrated that the Druid was not in Diablo 3. And recently I've been thinking, wow, I'm going to be so mad when Diablo 4 if they don't have a Demon Hunter. And I think the point is that no matter what, we will get over that. The game will become its own game. You will become a class you enjoy. When you think about Diablo 3, just think about all the people who didn't get Druid, But what I'm hearing about Diablo 4, potentially, is that we may have the most classes that we've ever had in a game come to Diablo 4. So this is sort of news that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. But from what I understand, from the discussions that have, popped up on Reddit posts and things like that, some of them have been deleted since then, it appears that we may get the most classes we've ever gotten in this game, but dulled out over time. So we're going to get those classes dulled out over time. Therefore, right now we have Sorceress, we have Barbarian. Sorceress and Barbarian, for the most part, according to a lot of people, they kind of feel like a little bit of an updated version of Diablo 3. It feels a lot like Diablo 3, just slightly updated a little bit. And so when you play them after a few minutes, you're kind of just like, oh yeah, I've done this before. I've been playing Diablo 3. Like, this is very much like that. So, but the one thing that we're hearing from a lot of people is that Druid is exciting to play because it's so different. All the mechanics are quite different than anything else we've seen. You know, we haven't seen a Druid since Diablo 2. We wanted a Druid so bad in Diablo 3. And I think that I like the idea that Sorceress and Barbarian are in the game for that sort of... I'm going to go ahead and believe that they're in the game for that familiarity, right? So we're going to get Barbarian and we're going to get Sorceress for the familiarity of the, you know, obviously Barbarian, legendary character. Just your standard, got to have that. Then you have the Sorceress, which is more based on spells and maybe range. You know what I'm saying? You can stand back a little bit. Barb is kind of getting right in there and meleeing. And Druid is sort of almost a hybrid of those, it seems like. But I'm not 100% on all that, but you know what I mean? And so what will we get for the remaining classes? And in my opinion, obviously, because I'm a demon hunter in Diablo 3, I really want to see some kind of a demon hunter or archer. Some kind of archer category. The rumor is that we're going to get Paladin and Necromancer, potentially. Or that we're going to get Paladin and something else, and Necromancer will be the first DLC character. And I know that people say, oh my god, you know, Necromancer was the DLC of Diablo 3. Why would they do this? And I think part of why they do it is because Necromancer is so popular, but also so complicated that they're going to take their time with the mechanics of that, but they also know the power of launching a Necromancer because it works so well with Diablo 3 with Reaper of Souls. So their first launch of Necromancer, and then after that they will follow with other launches. Now, what I would really like to see them do is I would like to see them bring back some of the characters from Diablo 2, potentially, and some of the characters from Diablo 3. I would like to almost be able to get everything we got in those two games, whether it's a hybrid, you know, a Witch Doctor combination with Crusader and Witch Doctor, things like that. I don't know. But what I really want to see is innovation of new characters, stuff we've never seen before. You know what I mean? Like, you know, new classes with names that we've never heard of and with sort of abilities we didn't think of before. And I think that this game is going to need some of that. I think it would be very good for the game if they could potentially, for every 2 classic characters that they bring back, that they also come up with 1 new one. And I think when all is said and done, we could potentially end up with about 10 classes in Diablo 4. And I know that some people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, what in the world? What kind of drugs are you on? And listen, server capacity and stuff like that, I don't know what the logistics of that are. You know what I mean? But in Diablo 3, you know, we got Demon Hunter, Crusader, Barb, Witch, Wizard, Necromancer, Monk. I get everybody? Is that 7? Did I get everybody? I think I might have gotten everybody. Am I missing somebody? Demon Hunter? Is it 8? I don't know. Either way. But I think you're going to get potentially 10 classes, maybe even more in Diablo 4. And I mean, it's April 11th, 2020. We're in the middle of this whole pandemic thing. Who knows what's going to happen? But to me, it feels like they're going to attempt, launching... They're going to have seasons. They're going to have, you know, this end game, hopefully, the way we want it. And potentially they could launch... I think they could really launch a new character every year or so, every year and a half. And I think that if you launched a new character class every year to 2 years, I think that would be very exciting, and I think that could happen. But at first, they may launch things quicker, right? I mean, I don't know. There's going to be 5 classes at launch, right? So that's 5 classes at launch, probably, 8 months to a year down the road, a Necromancer launch. And then hopefully over the next course of the next 3 years, they launch more. And hopefully the game is viable then. I'm hoping that the game stays viable and fun to play. You don't want the whole gameplay to be about coming back to play the new class. That's something I was concerned about coming back to play the same class. Like, okay, it's not as much about the game. It's as much as it's about, okay, now come back to play this class. You see, in Diablo 3, I mean, I'm still playing the game since 2012, and my regular non-seasonal character, I mean, I've mostly focused on Demon Hunter. I've taken a good chunk of time to play Necromancer, and I took a little chunk of time at the beginning to play Barb, but I mostly have focused on Demon Hunter the entire time since 2012. But one of the things I would hate to see is that you kind of max out a character, and you're like, okay, even with seasons, I'm kind of done with this character. It's kind of over. I'm going to try this other character now. And, like, that's the fun, is going to the next character. Now, you want that. I think you want that to maybe explore the other characters and play more. But I don't want it to be like, okay, my Barb is just legendary now. There's nothing else I can do to it. Now it's time to move to Sorceress. And then the people that remain with the game and that play the end game stuff and that remain with Diablo 4 are the people that are there waiting for the new class to launch so they can come back and play that again. That would be a problem to me. I don't think that that's where it should be. I think it should be that, you know, it's never ending, that you want to keep leveling your character and you want to keep doing things with your character. And obviously playing other characters is something that will just happen naturally, hopefully, and that will also be something you can do when you get bored a little bit of your character and maybe you've had enough and you want to try something different, which I think somehow Diablo 3 has actually got that right. I think Diablo 3 has gotten that right, where, like, you are obsessed with your character that you play and you love it for whatever reason, but you do explore the other characters, but you don't feel the need to, okay, I've killed Demon Hunter, I've killed Necromancer, I've done everything that's to do with Monk, I'm going to go move on to something else. Like, as many problems as Diablo 3 has had, to me, that's not one of them. Maybe there are some people out there that feel that way, but I have not experienced that ever with Diablo, where I'm like, all right, I'm sick of Demon Hunter. It's very rare when I go, all right, let me try a different character and try something different. But we basically get that in seasons too, where it's like, okay, well, this season, we're in season 20, and now let's transition this podcast over to Diablo 3. So now we're in season 20 of Diablo 3, and, I played Demon Hunter. I got to tell you guys, I've started every season that I've played in Diablo 3, I've started with Demon Hunter. That's just what I do, and it doesn't make sense. Some people will be like, why in the world this season wouldn't you start with a Witch Doctor or a Barb or a Crusader or something? Like, why would you start with Demon Hunter? It's the worst class in season 20. And in fact, I think that Demon Hunter is probably one of the worst classes almost every season. If somebody went and did the math and could let me know the numbers, at least in the last 10 seasons, Demon Hunter has not been the best class to be. I think last season, season 19, was a pretty good season for the Demon Hunter because of the buff that was happening with all those crazy things. Demon Hunter was a very fun, for speed running. I think Demon Hunter was fun. I think Monk was fun for speed running. I think Wizard was super, like, you like, if anybody could have gone back and played season 19, they would have realized they should have gone back to play Wizard, because Wizard had this ability to channel things with the abilities Wizard has in coordinates with the buff of season 19. Whenever that meteor strike would come down, I mean, it was nuts. I mean, you could time things with Wizard that were unbelievable. Even if you were like, when I was in a 2-party group, I saw 2-party groups playing, and they would finish rifts at half the time I was finishing rifts at Demon Hunter, and I was like, what are they doing? And what it was I was speedrunning Demon Hunter, so at first I'd be ahead of a Wizard run. I'd always be ahead of a Wizard run. And then what happened is Wizard would, like, jump way ahead, and then I would come close to catching up with a Wizard run, and then a Wizard would be done with the rift. So the Wizard was technically faster, but Demon Hunter appeared to be faster for me because I was sprinting, vaulting everywhere and just vaulting and getting the bonuses and stuff like that. But Wizards were, holding back certain things and triggering them at certain times, and you could actually usually, I think 70 to 80% of the time a wizard would beat a demon hunter because of that buff. So if I could go back in time, I would have played a wizard for the entire season. Anyway, my point in this is that this season I'm playing demon hunter like always. But I just hit the point where, I just got to 737 Paragon, which is not a lot. I'm very early and I'm very late to the season this year. Obviously, most people who are really playing are over 1,000 to 1,500 by now in Paragon. But I've already gotten to the point where I'm like, all right, I think I want to try Witch Doctor now, because Witch Doctor is the class to play this season. So now I'm starting to switch over to Witch Doctor a little bit to start powering that up. But I am going to go back to Demon Hunter a lot. So it's sort of like my side project is Witch Doctor, and I'm playing the season normal with Demon Hunter. So, yeah. So far, I've found only... I think it's only 5 primals. I've found only 5 primals this season so far. Which is, more than some people will find and a lot less than other people will find. And the primals so far this season have, as far as viable for Demon Hunter, and I'm doing a multi-shot Demon Hunter, I do have the backup grenade build. So I do have the grenade build going. And I do have, a shadows build and all that stuff like I usually do, but right now, still, I'm the most powerful with Unhallowed Essence multi-shot. Thing about multi-shot is when you put all the time into multi-shot, you eventually kind of hit this little bit of a wall, and then that sort of becomes like, oh man, I hit this wall, so, what am I going to do? Wow, that's weird. I just logged in and totally logged into the wrong character. I went to go check something to tell you guys something, and oh my god, I logged into my last seasonal character and I went, oh my god, where's all my stuff? And then I realized I was in the wrong character. Jesus, that scared the hell out of me. You ever done that? I've done it plenty of times. But yeah, going back to Diablo 3 and Season 20. So far, Season 20 for me has been okay. But I mean, pretty much there's nothing... I'm sort of let down because there's nothing really you can do. It's the cube, and okay, you can cube weapons, but unless you're really playing as a witch doctor or something, or a necromancer, the cube just doesn't help any, really. There's not a whole lot you can do, in my opinion. Maybe there's other people out there that are like, you're crazy. There's plenty I can do. But I am just not finding this season that fun anymore, based on other than playing a season. I wish that what I would hope would change in Diablo 3, and I really hope that they think about doing this, if they possibly can do this. I've been advocating for this for a while. I wish that they would throw out 2 things. I wish they would not throw out, but I wish they would throw in 2 things. So you would get a buff. Let's say last season the buff was, every 100, the meteor thing, then the tornadoes, and all the stuff that happened last season. But I would consider that I would consider that almost like, remember goblins, like double goblins? I would consider that almost like a version of that. So say this season is the cube, you can cube anything at any order, any weapon slot, and you can do whatever you want in the cube. Okay, cool, that's one thing. But I would have honestly had a second thing. I would have had some kind of a second effect. I would have something like, greater rifts above 80. Greater rifts above 80 have a greater chance to drop primals. Greater rifts above 80, have a gem can drop that you can slot, you can socket anything. So you can you can socket anything, or you can double socket. You know what I mean? And at the end of the season, obviously, you won't be able to, the double socket would disappear or would go away or whatever the case is. But in the season, there was something where you could double socket items, like double socket shoulders, double socket arms, double socket whatever. Or the effects of socketed items is doubled no matter what it is. Even if it's a legendary gem, it's doubled. So stuff like that. I would like to see 2 things. So say when they did, Legacy of Nightmares or whatever it is, on top of that, it would have been fun if they had put double goblins in the game too. So there was a secondary thing to do going on. I think that would be something that could be pretty exciting. Or you know what I mean? Like if this season is the cube, okay, but on top of that, whenever you fight, the double bosses for skeleton keys or whatever it is when you're doing when you have keys and you fight the boss, the bosses have a 30% chance to explode a goblin party. Or, just goofy stuff like that. I wish that they could implement things like that. That would sort of be fun and interesting, and you'd kind of have a blast with it. It would be a little ridiculous in the season. I think that would really be fun, and I wish that they would do something like that and consider something like that. And I don't know what's going on now. We've also seen the community leader, Brandi, she's left. They haven't announced a new one yet. Obviously, though, with the whole pandemic stuff, we don't know. I mean, sure, it's harder than usual to figure that out, and who's going to take over and what's going on. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I would like to see those things happen. Yeah, that's about it for me. Like I said, I've found some primals. They've all been pretty much useless this season. Like Atreyu. You know what I mean? Like Bellfire Caster. I've actually found all these primal weapons for a demon hunter, but not a Yang's Recurve and not a Dead Man's Legacy. Spines of Seething Hatred. I found a Spines of Seething Hatred primal. It's like flirting with, hey, it's all pretty good stuff for a demon hunter, but not quite, right? So that's been kind of a bummer as far as that goes. My Captain Crimsons, I rolled Ancients pretty quickly, so that was kind of cool. I'm all anciented up. The only Ancients I don't have are Restraint, Focus, and Restraint. I don't have any Ancient of that because basically I got really good rolls on regular rings, and so the Ancient rolls aren't as good. Which that brings me to another point of I wish that they could do something. I think it's too late for this, obviously. It is too late. I wish that they could, obviously do something where, Ancients were a little more buffed, so they would have a little more separation from regular items so that, wow, when I find an Ancient, it's really an upgrade over regular items. Like, there's not much of a chance that I'm going to have a 50 roll of crit on a regular ring and then find an Ancient and it rolls the 50 of crit. So it's like, I wish that, they had made it Ancients a little bit more powerful, I guess. And I certainly wish that they would have made Primals even more, powerful than they are a little bit. So if you'd made Primals a little more powerful than they are, made Ancients maybe make Ancients a little bit more powerful than they are, and then make Primals really powerful than they are, and then maybe even if only they could have added one more thing, which is crazy, but if they could have added like a unique of some call it unique or call it something ultra unique or something like that. And those are super rare. Can you imagine if they implemented those in Diablo 3? If they put into the game super uniques, and you can only find a super unique once you've done a Greater Rift 100, and a super unique has a ridiculous, you could play the game for about 3 to 4 months and you wouldn't find one, but when you found one, it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe not that, because here's how you solve this problem. A lot of people have been saying, well, how you solve the problem? And this is probably stuff that's too late for Diablo 3 that they could do in Diablo 4 that we probably won't see in Diablo 3, unfortunately. But I feel like they could easily do this in Diablo 4. So, how we have legendary gems and we have augmenting power and things like that, right? So what would be really cool to me would be if you had the chance to find a super, potion or a portal or something like that. So instead of an item dropping, a weapon, or you know what I mean, a better version of Yang's recurve, or a better version of, you know, bracers, or a better version of whatever you need. You know, you get a better version of your set items. Instead, because whenever those things drop, you don't get the thing you need a lot of times, right? You always get like a junk item. And that in and of itself is rare, and helping it to be super rare that you find a primal that you really need, right? So that is good. Because even though we all complain about it, like, oh, I got this junk item. Well, at least there was a little bit of excitement, but you didn't get the item. But imagine if you eliminated like all the bad drops of primals that you ever got. Eliminate those, right? How many would you have, right? So if you're someone who plays casually and you've found overall in your whole entire life on Diablo, you found 100 primals, but only 5 of them have worked for you. Well, they could have done it where only primals drop for your character that you could probably use. They could do that. And that's what you wanted. A lot of people want. Well, that's basically what you have. The difference is you do have the tease and the sadness of finding like 80 that you don't need. But you still found those 5 you needed. So imagine if you'd only found 5 so far and you never found those other ones. Would that make a difference to you? That's a good question. But my idea is dropping a potion of a magical potion. Magic potion. Or whatever you want to call it. Super magic potion. Whatever you want to say. And this is super rare. You can only find it, you know what I mean, after you've accomplished a Greater Rift 100, and as long as you're playing a solo Greater Rift over 60, you can find potentially a super, this super potion. Or, I mean, it can drop anywhere at any time, whatever. That's fine too, whatever. But there's like a 1 in 10,000 chance that you would get this. And so, like, most players could play for 6 months to a year and never see it. But once in a while, it drops. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's super rare. But the goal would be, you know, if you played the game once a week, every week, that within, 3 years, it's possible you could find one. That type of deal. That would be awesome if they implemented that in Diablo. And what it does is, when you take the potion, you can combine it with any of your items on your character. So you can combine it with any of your items. So you could come over and, like, let's say you were playing on your, your Demon Hunter or whatever the case is, and you're hovering over your Cage of the Hellborn set armor chest piece, and all of the stats on it. What it would do is it would double or triple all of the stats on that item. So when you click on the item, the potion then, encapsulates itself, like dyes the item. It looks all special. Maybe the outsides glow. The rim, instead of being gold on an ancient, instead of being red primal, they would glow. So they would glow. Now you could put this on a regular item, maybe, or maybe you could only put it on set items. I'm sorry, you could put it only on ancient items or primal items. So obviously you would probably want to save it for a primal item. Nobody would put it on an ancient item, so I guess that doesn't matter. Maybe just make it for primals. So maybe you can only make it for primals. I don't know. So you put it on your primal, and the outer edges would glow now, like a mist. And it would like double or triple every single stat on that item. To me, that would be something massively exciting to put into Diablo 3. Will we ever see that in Diablo 3? I don't know. How hard is that to implement? I wouldn't think it would be that hard. Just take your sockets, your cube. What's the, your, oh my God, I'm drawing blanks like left and right now because it's a little bit early. In your Rimaldi's gift, you take Rimaldi's gift, right? It would be kind of like that, except for super rare. You get a million Rimaldi's gifts by the end of the season, but you would make it way, way rare. Like, I mean, for every 50 primals you find, you would find one of these, maybe, right? Let's make it so super rare, so super random, but possible. And to me, that would be extremely exciting. It would make the seasons exciting, and it would make your regular character just in the regular game exciting, because you would that would give you reason to start trying to gear up your off-season character again to try to make this perfect character for Diablo 3 before Diablo 4 gets here. So yeah, that's my sort of, I guess, idea. Maybe I'm curious to what you guys think about that idea. A potion that would bind to your item, and it would double or triple all stats, including triple or double the gems. So if you put gems in your helmet, it would double or triple the helmet. The gem as well. Everything. If that's possible. Maybe that's a little too tough, but hopefully that would be possible. And now, when you put the potion onto the item, we could debate about, that's it. It's binded forever. I think that would be a good idea, to bind forever. So now you got to remember that when you put this potion on your seasonal character, that you can't take it off and put it on your regular standard character when the season's over. It's sort of binded to that item. So you either got to take that item and put it on your regular character, or decide whatever you're going to do. The other option, I guess, would be that you could take it off an item and switch it up to 3 times. So you would have 3 chances to disconnect it from an item and put it on a new item. So I think I like the idea of that, because that way, if you're in a season and you happen to find one early on, you're like, oh my God, you can put it on your ancient item. But then when you find a primal at some point, you can take it off and still put it on the primal and not waste it. But you still only have those 3 chances, 3 strikes and you're out, to put it where you want it. And you can make a mistake, hopefully. But, some people like the idea of that you can make mistakes and that you have to be very strategic about these things. So, I'm somebody who would like the mistake thing, to have the 3 chances, but there's something to be said about being careful and making it matter that much when you put it somewhere. So maybe go with that first one. I don't know. We'd have to have a debate about that as well. So anyway, guys, so far that's my big idea. I hope people clip this idea that I've mentioned. Unless it's something not new that everybody. I mean, obviously there's some similarities in some Diablo 2 stuff. But I mean, as far as Diablo 3 goes, and coming up with Diablo 4, do you like the idea of that for Diablo 4? Do you like the idea of it for Diablo 3? Please let me know in the comments down below. Please clip this idea and send it to anybody you can think of that knows Diablo. I'd love to hear their ideas of how dumb it is, or how good it is, or maybe it's just a talking point that gets better ideas started. Usually my ideas aren't that good, but they're interesting, because a lot of times they spark a better idea from somebody else, I think. So hopefully somebody out there has a better idea than me of how to do that. Now with Diablo 3, I think it should be really basic, like I said, but with Diablo 4, you could really turn that into something different, something more special. But yeah, so far Season 20, I'm at 737 Paragon. I've been really lazy this season. And I haven't found any primals that help my Unhallowed Essence build or my Witch Doctor. And I'm going to continue to grind away, and I will give you guys updates on that further as my dog flips out upstairs. But how is your Season 20 going on Diablo 3? What are you playing? What are you doing? I'd love to know. Leave it in the comments down below. I'm Evil Spectrum 3. You guys will be able to hear this podcast on my iTunes coming up soon. I have so many different podcasts on iTunes, but I'm going to launch one specifically for this. Time being, I'll probably put it up on the Joe Cronin Show podcast on iTunes potentially, but I will isolate this to have its own podcast soon. And everybody watching on YouTube, I hope you subscribe, and I hope you give me your ideas, and we'll talk about it next time. My question to you is right now, how are you doing in Season 20? How's it going? And what do you want to see in Season 21, which could be delayed because of the whole Corona thing, and we could talk about how far that's going to be delayed. But what do you want to see whenever we do see a Season 21? Leave that down below, and what you're doing this season, and I'd love to talk about it. See you guys in the next video, and I hope you guys follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Joe Cronin JCS. That may change soon to Evil Spectrum 3, I think. And subscribe here to Evil Spectrum 3 for more talking points here on Diablo. And, I was watching my old Diablo videos the other day back in 2012 and 13. Man, what a mess. I'll see you guys later.